Hello and welcome back to Lost in Conversation, the podcast, or Lic, as we recently discovered. Today we'll be diving into Blade Runner, the original,
1982.
the 1982 release with Harrison Ford starring and
You don't remember her name, do you?
Shay
Sean. I feel like it's Shay. I don't know.
S-E-A?
Nah.
Sarah?
I don't know.
We didn't see her. Rachel from the movie.
Mm-hmm. Did a lot of research.
So, where should we start? Beginning, middle, end, iconic scenes, iconic quotes.
All right. Well, we should preface this. We are going to be talking about the U.S. theatrical release, not the director's cut or the eventual Ridley Scott director's cut.
There was like a whole bunch of different variations of this movie.
So basically, because like the director, or not gosh, I can't talk. The theatrical release that we watched, it kind of leaves it very ambiguous to whether or not Harrison Ford, Deckard, is a replicant or not.
Mm-hmm.
Where the later cuts of the movie kind of make it obvious, and Ridley Scott has actually said in interviews that yes, Deckard was a replicant, except Harrison Ford says that he didn't feel like he was a replicant. He felt that he was human.
Well, most of them do until they're told they're not, right?
Unless Harrison Ford's a replicant. But Harrison Ford's definitely outlived their 4-year lifespan.
Yeah.
But Rachel's model doesn't have that.
4-year lifespan.
And that's of the Nexus 6 model. I believe older replicants live longer.
Like the earlier.
Yeah, like older, like Harrison would have been an older generation than Rachel, who's a Nexus 6.
Which makes sense. I mean, like, if you were like to release like the first version of something, you would obviously have some issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you roll out new products.
Yeah.
And so that's how they probably discovered the issue of becoming sentient beings.
Well, they were, but like, and they've always just had issues with the emotion.
Right.
That's the only way they could tell them apart.
I mean, like, the 80s were a time computers were just catching on, and I think they were like just struggling with the idea of mixing with computers, where they're like, we might suffer from like world domination or something from like.
We still do. Like, Elon goes on, he's like, no, we'll be taking over here pretty darn shortly. You're like, cool.
Well, if you get that Neuralink installed.
Yeah, that he's doing. You're like, Elon, aren't you the one that's like always really against like all this AI technology, but you want us to put it in our head?
I think one of the arguments that I hear a lot is that AI isn't actually that smart. They say AI is pretty stupid, which because I don't agree with entirely that statement. I think to my knowledge, AI does what it's told to do. So like
just following orders.
If you tell it to do something like incorrectly, it'll do incorrectly until it's like discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
But
you have to show it like what's good first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you showed a chess AI, like
those things are hard to beat.
Yeah, well, you can't beat them now.
Well, no, you can.
Like
if you put, was it Google? Must have been Google. They have like all that free time. They put a supercomputer against a supercomputer to play it in chess, which like
it's just mathematically doing that. Like it'd probably just end up in a draw.
Well, no, but like it took, or was it numbers? But they play each other.
I know they have an AI that does Go now, which is like supposed to be like an infinite possibility game where no two games are the same.
Dude, like I love what they're doing with the computers, where they're just like, whatever. What was it? 60 years ago now. Hey.
For what?
For the space.
69.
69 years ago.
No, that's 1969.
Oh yeah, so
we did a podcast about this.
So that's like 60 years ago.
Give or take.
They've been working on it for 60 years. They got there about 40 or 50 years ago, right? So the computers they were using to accomplish that are so weak compared to what we have today.
No, I remember it was like, you always see that like meme, but it's not a meme. And it's like they got to the moon with less computing power than the original iPhone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And when we look back on the original iPhone now, we're like, that thing is ancient, like
obsolete.
A brick.
It's obsolete.
Like imagine trying to use an iPhone, like the original iPhone now. You'd get so mad at it.
It would be difficult to use.
Yeah.
It would be difficult to use.
Like you'd hit something, it wouldn't like instantly happen. You'd like, why is it frozen?
That's what I was. It's like, it's back to the attention span. Like our generation especially has suffered from like social media and like neuro training, where it's like content driven.
Oh yeah.
Trying to get you addicted
Short
to
span,
like constant fuel of dopamine, serotonin, all that stuff getting dumped into your bloodstream.
Well, that's what's so different about like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 is they are slow movies. They're long drawn out. You have to be really attentive.
It's supposed to be like dystopian.
Yeah, well, it's the original, the Blade Runner. It's like a noir, right? You have Harrison Ford doing the narration. You know, a lot of its beats are like from that old LA noir style, black and white.
What do you mean by beats? Like the songs?
No, like film beats. So like, how do the acts play out?
Oh,
like how does the climax get to it? Like, oh, what's the all hope is lost point of the movie?
That fight scene was pretty sick.
At the very end?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the main antagonist, Roy Batty?
I think he was misunderstood.
You think he was misunderstood?
In all honesty, I think like...
Well, he was a product of his inventor.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like...
Trying to be deep over there or what?
Well, no, but it's like... I think he was just misunderstood, because if you were in his shoes, right?
Yeah.
You were unwillingly created, and then...
But weren't you unwillingly created?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Mm.
Well, maybe it's just a call. Is this just a call out to our society?
What is society? We live in a society.
We live in a society, and it's...
We should do the Joker.
But it's like, you know, if you were in his shoes, right? You would... It's natural. Yeah. It's natural.
Well, imagine if you learned all of a sudden that you only live 4 years and that you're about to die in like a day.
I mean, like, yeah, you would do everything in your power to live, right?
Mm-hmm. Which they come back to Earth. They come to speak to their creator, Dr. Tyrell.
And it's like their life. They were forced to do things that they didn't want to do. They've seen things that not like many other people have seen, and so their memory, their time will be forgotten, like tears and rain or something.
Probably something like that. Do you think there's an allusion to Friedrich Nietzsche, where he says that God is dead and we killed him?
Well, Nietzsche is a nihilist, so of course he's going to be thinking.
But similar, Roy goes to see his creator and kills him, and he is dead, but he killed him.
I don't think. Well, that's the difference, possibly.
He alludes to himself as an angel, I believe, earlier in the film.
Well, yeah,
fallen from heaven.
Had he? When he was born, he's like, had he sinned at that point? Like, what is sin?
You know, man made the robots. How do they make them flawed?
Aren't they supposed to be perfect?
Yeah, but they do kill a lot of people.
That's true.
Yeah, but is that because the fake emotions that are pulled into them from memories?
But who do you blame that on? Like, can you blame that on them?
I think we can blame it on Tyrell's niece, where most of the memories come from.
Damn, she must have been one heckin' wacky kid.
It was the kid from Finding Nemo in the dentist office.
Just shaking him. She's like, anarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think he was just misunderstood, Roy. He was just misunderstood. And
what about Pris?
She was funky, dude. That one scene where she got Harrison in that like headlock with her thighs. Like, I mean,
I wasn't opposed to that. I mean, honestly, like that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I'd be willing to die that way.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to go out locked in between some thighs.
If it was Pris.
If it was Pris, yeah. I mean, like, for like, you know, not for like any type of weird thing, but like, you know, strictly for like plot development.
What does it say about us though? You know, that's something we'd actually enjoy, and she was
enjoy. I think it'd be a sacrifice, Garrett. I think we'd be sacrificing ourselves.
Yeah, sacrifice. And but she was a pleasure bot. Her entire existence was to pleasure others. It's not really deep. And that's the kind of moves. Well, she was a pleasure bot and like an attack bot, they said earlier. Like,
oh yeah,
so she could like
got introduced. It was like she's Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. And then there's the other one. Shara.
The one that got shot in the beginning.
Back.
Yeah. I mean, additionally, like, it just doesn't make sense.
And Leon.
As far as, like, construction of a robot is to, like, why would they bleed?
Yeah, right?
Like
maybe it's like a motor oil
or something.
It's like a trans fluid.
But like, they bled a lot.
Yeah.
Is there that many like moving parts that you need?
You ever
that
seen a
much?
robot? A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
You know how many actuators there are on like think of like an F-18 jet.
Mm-hmm.
So many moving parts on them.
Yeah. Have you seen those like when they warm up? Not like warm up.
Yeah, but like everything's
they
moving.
flip everything like when they do like the pre-checks and
we'll
stuff.
make sure everything works.
That's so cool. Like so much of that plane like flexes.
But I mean, like if you couldn't have like the ailerons or like those actuators that work, the plane would be useless. Like there's like that's majority of the plane.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's like building it from the top up. Like if you build a house on sand, assume like the sand could be like the actuators. It'd be like the house it's gonna collapse.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I mean, you could have a plane that just has like natural lift, and it will go up when it's got thrust.
Like a fixed wing plane.
No, like that doesn't have. Yeah, basically a glider.
Gliders have ailerons too. I'm pretty sure.
Well, now, but I'm sure like the old ones like.
Oh, like a paper airplane.
Yeah, think of like that, but it just has natural lift. So as long as it has thrust, it'll go up.
Well, you're not gonna get thrust without an actuator.
An engine?
Yeah.
Oh, there are actuators now in engines.
Well, thrust is different than lift.
But all right, but you need thrust to obtain more lift. Yeah, you can have natural lift, but if you're standing still and there's no gust of wind is thrust.
Yeah, you need lift is not thrust. I'm pretty sure. 50-50.
Aren't you a pilot?
I have flown before, yes.
And what's the last thing you need to do to get your license?
Your phase check, your final phase check?
No. What's the last thing you need to do?
I need to do
the test, the written
test, and oral test. Yeah,
which you obviously know because you've flown for 50 plus hours now.
Yeah, no. The problem is the rules. Like airspace, different. They're called FAR aims.
But you've done this before in life.
I've flown. Yeah. I can do the flying, but the legality behind it is where I struggle. Yeah. That's the problem.
Doesn't seem like too difficult. Like a night of studying and be ready to go.
It's not necessarily like a night, but it's
13-year-olds can get their pilot's license. Like
that's actually only in Alaska, I'm pretty sure, and that's like special permitting.
They can still do it. I'm sure they got to learn the same rules.
No, actually they don't because it's Alaska.
Oh,
so
all right.
It's different.
I'm pretty sure everywhere else in the world it's 15 to get their license.
Yeah, when you have the ability to drive, you can get your ability to fly.
Yeah. So they can do it.
So they're also full-time students at a four-year university. That's ranked.
They're a full-time student.
Top 50.
It's 49.
Or top 50
49
in the nation. So
we barely make it every single year.
We did it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're tied with.
Who does those ratings?
The U.S. News.
But like,
who is the U.S. News?
Like, how do they get that rating?
It's like they have a breakdown on their website of like how they qualify them.
Like has Ocean. I guess that's cool.
But it's like student retention, student like
retention's not that good.
Well, that's because COVID mostly.
Yeah.
But
mostly.
Retention of students, percentage that graduate in 4 years.
That's gonna be going down.
Yeah, and a couple other things, but they have it broken down on their website on how they rank schools.
If that's the case, just make some easy school like in the South, just like ranking number one.
Well, but there's also like it's like a bunch of like
it's admin missions and things like that.
Yeah, so they can't because like otherwise it'd be like divide do it.
And then Phoenix,
yeah.
Which is a great school. If you want to sponsor us, University of Arizona Phoenix,
we'll do it.
Online school, we will do it.
We'd love to work with the University of Phoenix.
Give us like a crisp tenor and we will sell out.
Just about anything.
Literally. But come on, guys. Like it's
the scene that confused me the most was when Harrison and Rachel fell in love. I think.
Yeah, looked a little bit like Assault, didn't it?
It looked. I don't want to put words to a scene.
Was it grapes?
What do you mean grapes?
Let's take off the S and the G.
Tiptoe
around that. I don't think it was. Well, she's a robot. First off, it's like 2D. Also, it's different.
The robot. Is that the world's first like sex doll or?
Yeah, you're telling me the first thing they did with those robots that looked exactly like humans.
That had blood
body
and possibly
parts,
other body fluids.
Which they clearly do because in 2049.
She cried.
Well,
Rachel
yeah,
cried.
They cry, yeah, but they also like allude to like, well, they're pleasure bots first off. But you're telling me the first one they didn't make was a pleasure bot? You think they went straight to the slave labor on different planets? Like that was an afterthought. They were like
some nerd was like, so I made a thing.
Yeah. Like they were 10 years into this with pleasure bots and like we could use these for like
what if you
labor.
just didn't like,
Rail
fuck
them.
the robot.
Like, what if they're like strong because they're robots?
I don't know. Made them do stuff
for free. Now, pleasure bots. Are they like hookers in the sense where you have to pay them?
There's an overhead.
There's an overhead, yeah. But are you paying to the owner? Like, how does the ownership work of that?
Would that be prostitution?
Would it? They're not a person. Because in 2049, the whole thing is that they want to show that they're like humans, and that they deserve the same amount of rights.
I mean, the thing. Additionally, like, did you notice how much like Chinese and Japanese there was in this? That's supposed to be L.A. Like, like Chinatown and Little Japan.
No, I think it's just in the future. Well, they said like the slums language was a mixture of German, Spanish, Japanese, and like an assortment of different languages.
What is the overlap between German, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese? I mean, Japanese and Chinese maybe because like kanji.
But I think it's German, more so it's Spanish. Like in the future maybe the U.S. is just like so overpopulated with like refugees and immigrants that like
the culture just mixed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But it's mostly like Japanese. But you can argue that now.
What do you mean?
Like so much of Japanese culture is part of like now the U.S. culture with anime and
cars.
Cars, like everything. So, and at the time in the 80s, there was the boom in the Japanese market.
That's true.
Which I'm sure at the time they thought was going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
You could tell that this movie was from the 80s.
Because it looked like it was from the 80s?
No, actually, for the time. For the 80s, the CGI and like all that stuff, like the computer usage. That scene with Harrison Ford where he takes like the Polaroid and he's like, enhanced section 36 by 36, okay, and then 42 by 42. You can't just make pixels.
No.
You can't just make it's a Polaroid. It's a Polaroid.
Yeah.
It doesn't just like you don't just add ink to a Polaroid after you take a picture. How does that happen?
So that picture that he took was actually a 64K picture.
Oh, 64K picture?
Mm-hmm. It's
from a Polaroid?
Well, yeah, the Polaroids developed really far into the future, even in 2019.
So you're trying to tell me that after years and years of camera technology and improvement, the best medium that we have,
they didn't know we were going to have iPhones and things like that,
is a Polaroid?
At the time, they thought maybe the Polaroid would
Somebody
be really
did not
big.
Do their research.
What if Polaroid sponsored this movie and gave them money and said, "Can we have our product in your movie?"
Well, they didn't put their logo on it.
Everyone knows that's a Polaroid.
They didn't put their logo on it.
It's pretty simple.
Just saying.
But I mean, you think it's like if it's like, let's say I had an 8K camera in front of me and I took a picture of you.
Mm-hmm.
I would be able to zero into that door handle behind you.
Yeah, you could.
Like just by zooming in, and it would still be like 1080p.
With the digital photo, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But with the Polaroid.
Well, no, it was a photo. Well, all right. The digital photo was 8K resolution on that photo print that he had.
So he had an 8K printer.
It's the future. It's a dystopian future. I'm sure they have it. They have robots that look like humans. They had flying cars and robots that look like humans.
Flying cars is more believable. Did you see the bodywork on those cars? They're all wide body, dude.
Yeah,
like those things are clapped.
Yeah, it's all the RWB.
They're just like, hey, it do be like that, and just like, ding, 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 ding.
What did you think of the guns?
Like old fashioned
Deckard's
revolvers?
Gun, but they weren't. They were futuristic. Look, it's a very famous like handgun that Deckard has.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it looked pretty much like a revolver.
No.
No?
It looks nothing.
Had like a light bulb on the back and then like a little gap in between. Then when he busted his fingers, he was like,
he took that very.
He did it like a champ.
Yeah. Like his fingers got
if you take that clip, I guarantee you, if you took that clip, one of our listeners, if you have time,
I'm sure they do.
Take the clip of when Harrison Ford resets his pinkies or his pinky and his ring finger in the bathroom. It's sort of operatic. like just the beginning of his scream is sort of operatic. So I feel like if you threw that into some Italian
vocoder.
What that?
It's a synthesizer. A synthesizer.
A synthesizer?
Yes, a synthesizer.
If you threw that into some Italian opera of like some crescendo, like you could slide it into that easily, and you'd be like, "Yep, there it is."
Interesting. We've talked about this a little bit in the past.
Synthesizers?
Not the synthesizers. What kind of synthesizers?
We talked about synthesizers. Vangelis?
The score of this film. How did you like the score?
I think they did a pretty good job. I was expecting. I think they did because like it's dystopian, obviously, so it's supposed to be a little bit dreary.
Past dystopian. It's not futuristic dystopian.
Huh?
It's 3 years ago. The movie takes place in 2019. It happened. It didn't happen.
Yeah, we missed the.
We missed the flying.
Back to the Future.
We missed the robots.
Back to the Future.
We missed the
Blade Runner.
robots.
War Games. Was War Games about the future or?
Nah, I think War Games was the dude gets a hold of like the nuclear like
launch codes
on his computer and thought it was a
like
game.
Changing my grades from A's.
Yeah. Oh, I was watching Ferris Bueller.
Right. Days Off.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm glad you made that.
Just in case. I don't know.
You know who knows, right?
Bueller.
But in the beginning, he's got his computer and he starts changing
his grades.
His absent days. His attendance in real time on this computer. Completely different systems. You're telling me he hacked into their servers from his home computer and just started changing dates, but while he wasn't on the school's, like, I'm not sure about that.
Well, if you had remote access to the server, you could edit data.
But you know it was not on a server. That computer was on its own.
Or if you had a lot of cable and you ran
he just ran a cable
the whole way home. If anybody could do it, it'd be Ferris. Have you met him? There's a guy I know. We could do that. It's Ferris. Ferris Bueller.
Ferris, yeah.
You heard of him?
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, friends with Mike. But doesn't matter. We'll come back to that. I don't know. I really like this movie. I liked it more than 2049. I think 2049 was also really good. 2049 was a lot longer, I think. It was
2 hours and like 30 minutes, eh?
The 2049 was like 2 hours and like 50 minutes.
Sheesh.
But it looks really good. Like, literally.
Yeah, it's newer.
Yeah. But like, no. Like, Blade Runner, I think, looks really good.
The original?
Yeah. Like the world. Like, you really feel like, oh, this is like a full world they're created.
Yeah, they keep it like dark and dreary. I think
noir.
The coolest thing of technology that they had going on was that elevator. That elevator that Deckard had to go up, and then the first time Rachel came over to his crib. See how fast that thing was? He was going like 10 stories a second.
But that building didn't look like it was high up.
But it was like, whatever, like it looked like it was a 4-story building.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's nuts.
What pisses me off about this movie, the scene that grinds my gears, as the cool kids call it, is when they're going up, when Roy Batty is kind of holding JF Sebastian hostage to go see Tyrell in his room.
Chess.
Yeah, they're doing like the chess thing. You're telling me there's no cameras in that elevator. There's no security.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
The most powerful person on like Earth that made, is a head of the Tyrell company. Everyone has the replicants.
And additionally, he's supposed to be a super genius.
Yeah.
Yet, he fell to bishop to b6. Or was it knight b6? I think it was knight b6.
And then the next was checkmate.
And then the queen took knight. Or was it queen b6, knight took queen?
You remember the board vividly, photographic memory.
Yeah, I got something going on. I think he put his queen out.
He lost.
He died.
He died, yes.
And he lost.
His eyes got bulged in. Which, would that kill you?
No.
Yeah.
No. Because your eye sockets are like 2 inches deep or something. And then you just have holes on the back of your skull where all that nerve ending goes, and then it connects to your brain. So maybe if you like went through the eye holes, but they're like tiny, so
that's like a lot of thumb.
He had to have tiny thumbs or something,
or long.
If you went like pinkies, I believe pinkies would work.
double pinkies.
But then you're gonna
the
snap
eyes.
your pinkies up.
Well, they're robot pinkies.
They're robot pinkies.
He shoved his head through like
pinkies.
walls.
That was hilarious. It was
Yeah.
I'm still counting.
Where did he get that dove?
The roof.
The roof. And that dove didn't fly away. He just like
He grabbed
yoinked.
it. Additionally, it was raining, and
Yeah.
doves traditionally don't like rain.
And it was dry.
And it was a white dove.
It was a white dove.
Which-
Symbolic.
Which in a city, I
That's
don't know.
well, it was definitely fake. It was not real. It was a synthetic dove. There was no more real animals in.
Right, yeah. I was like, you think I can afford a real snake? Which I don't understand. I guess maybe, yeah, it's cheaper because they like live longer and all that jazz. You don't gotta buy like a new one, but like.
I think the robotics kind of are cheap in this universe because it seems like there's a lot of pleasure bots. That's all I'm saying. Is you look around and it's like I mean, maybe the movie took place more in like the red light district or something.
A little more sketch.
Yeah. This theme continues on in 2049. It's a good movie. And yeah. But I like this a lot more than 2049.
Shall we give it a
Oh,
rating?
yeah.
A dumpling rating?
I suppose.
Okay.
All right.
So on the fourth beat of 3. So 1,
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
3.
yeah, I
Fourth
gotcha.
beat.
I got you.
We'll say our numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3,
8.
Jinx, you owe me
Crisp high
a
five.
Coke.
All right. You don't even drink soda.
That's true.
Connor will take
Iced tea.
iced tea. All right.
I'll take an iced tea. Peace teas. You like peace tea?
Peace tea?
Yeah, it's like the 40s of like peace tea.
Arizona iced tea?
It's like an Arizona iced tea. Or like,
But it's
remember from high
peach
school?
flavor.
There's
It's
like,
they're Arizonas, but they're I think peach flavor.
no, it's called peace.
Peace. I don't. Oh, I think I do recognize
Peace tea. If you want to sponsor us, just send us a pallet.
that. I've never tried it.
They're great. They're delicious.
Great.
They're delicious.
You know,
I don't think they're.
see
I
what
think
Twitter
they're like
did to Tony the Tiger,
Tony Shrek.
Tony Shrek. Yeah.
What happened to Tony Shrek?
They ripped him apart because he's an animal and he's humanoid. The furries got him, man.
Damn it. But yeah, peace tea is really good.
All
Peace
right.
tea is really good. It's like, just it's good
What's
tea.
it taste like?
Well, it depends on what flavor you get. They have like flavor. They have like an Arnold Palmer.
Mm.
They have
Tea flavor.
tea flavor. They
That's
have
good.
mango. They have
Mango.
peach. They have razzle dazzle berry. They have blue something. Another blue one.
These are all Puff Bar flavors, by the way. Like, I bet these are all Puff Bar flavors.
They probably are. I don't think razzle dazzle berry is, but I'm sure they have like a blueberry. But Puff was canceled, wasn't it?
Nah, I think there's
Puff got cracked down on, I think. There's like that new one, like the cylinder.
There's so many.
That's kids, if you're listening and you vape and you want to talk to us, because odds are if you're listening
Just
to this,
smoke
you know
cigarettes.
us.
I don't know.
No,
Like, you
just-
guys are you're ruining the
don't.
environment, you know?
try not to. I understand it's difficult, nicotine addictions, but like
But at least cigarettes are eco-friendly.
biodegradable.
Yeah. All natural, guys.
But
Since
it's
you guys
like,
are all about the ecosystem.
just don't try not to. Or at least like, if you're looking for a sign to quit, this is it.
Nah. Hard drugs.
Don't do it. But
Anything to say that your cousins can't listen.
yeah.
Like, you guys like smoking, kiddos?
No. My cousins.
Not cigarettes.
What are they called?
Crack.
Your like cousins, kids, nieces?
Nieces, nephews.
My nieces?
Nieces,
Plural?
nephews.
Nieces?
Nieces.
Niece is a singular?
Niece is singular.
Like the city?
Yeah.
Damn. And then what are they called? The other one? Nephew?
Nephew.
Nephews? Nephi?
No, nephews.
So my nephew and nieces are like, I think 6 and 5 or something. So they're young.
Old enough to listen to our podcast about pleasure
If
pots.
they start vaping or anything, I don't hang out with them too much.
Disown them.
But I'll try my best to redirect them because your brain's so developing, still developing.
Yeah.
Our brains are still developing.
I mean, just have a good Marlboro to cool your mind off of things. You could.
What are they
sponsor us.
called? Those mint ones?
Menthols.
Are they called menthols? Let's have some menthols.
Yeah.
Non-filtered menthols.
Not the not vapes. Come on, guys.
Come on.
Nice cigar.
Nah. Avoid it if you can.
Just go to alcohol. Better for you, anyways.
Go for a run. Go to the gym. Get the endorphins going. Those are good endorphins to get addicted to.
Yeah, I do enjoy a good gym. Do you go to the gym?
I do train from time to time.
Really?
Yeah. So.
What do you like? What do you like to do in the gym?
I call them the Holy Trinity.
Oh.
Not to be like blasphemous or put them on the same pedestal as a deity, but they are pretty important in my life. So yeah, it's the bench, the deadlift, and the squat.
All right. So you probably have like a world record or something like that, right?
Not world record, but I have deadlifted 3 times body weight.
Wow,
so
not a lot of people done that.
I'm sure a lot of people have, but I'm happy to be a part of that group. But yeah, are you familiar with the 3 bench, deadlift, and squats?
I've heard of it. Yeah, tell me a little bit about it.
So yeah, your bench is, you're on your back, got a barbell, and your goal is to take a barbell from a locked position to your chest, and then back up to that locked position.
Yeah.
And that's called the bench press. And then your squat is, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the squat, is
I've heard of it,
bend at your knees, bend at your hips, and then you just kind of get parallel or negative degree angle in the knees and the hamstring.
Yeah, I know I've seen lots of clips of people that don't do that.
Yeah, it's depth. It's called depth of a squat. It's questionable in the community, but I mean, everybody trains for different purposes, and one thing that people do look for is the depth of your squat to qualify it as a rep or not.
Yeah.
And a rep is just a repetition or a single movement of that.
What would you call something that's like half of the range of motion?
Like half a rep, half a repetition. I think it's called a half rep.
You wouldn't want to be one of those.
Half repping, it has the pluses and negatives. I mean, if you're looking for volume or specific, like if you have a sticking point on any of your lifts, you can try to train from that sticking point a little heavier to try to.
But what about hypothetically? I'm trying to think of a situation. Maybe on a leg press, which is similar to a squat, but it's different.
Similar to a squat, yeah, but it's a little different.
But in this hypothetical situation, I think maybe a leg press, and you load maybe 10 plates aside, and then only go about a tenth of what a 1 rep would count as.
I understand. I'm following.
How would you feel about that?
Personally, 10 plates is a lot of weight. So a plate is 45 pounds. Yes. So it's about 20 kilo.
Unless you're at a military gym or some other gyms where
they have 55 plates.
No, it's 100-pound plates.
Or 100-pound plates. Yeah, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and weights. And if you were to leg press 10 plates aside, it would be about 450 pounds aside. So that's 900 pounds. And then you have, obviously, the sled.
Weighs 118 pounds.
It varies at different gyms, but the sled that I'm familiar with is 118 pounds. So you're looking at, what is that, 1,068 pounds?
Half a ton, almost.
Give or take half a ton. And if you can move that with good form and contracting your muscles correctly, good for you. But odds are that's a little too heavy for you. So you're really, putting a lot of risk in injury.
Yeah.
Which you don't want to do because you want to have a long career of training. So
yeah, especially if you're prone to injury, like maybe in high school.
Broke your ankle or something.
Yeah, or even worse, and you ended up in like in PT for a year for that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a history of.
But what's a good excuse? Let's say you did that, right? What's a good excuse to someone who tells you, "Hey, no, this is a good rep." It hurt. Like, what would you say to someone who told you, "No, that's stupid"?
If they're looking for my opinion, I would try to advise them to go maybe at least 3 plates lighter. Try to really get a good contraction and then explosive off the bottom. That way it's,
Let's say their ego's too big, Well, and you tell them, hey, that's too heavy. What do you think an excuse you would come up with in this hypothetical situation?
If I was ego lifting with the 10 plates, I would say you got to lift big to be big. But that would just be negligent
I would say,
to my body.
I have knee pain when I go deeper.
Oh, yes.
I think that's always a good thing.
And you'd probably move, if you were to move 1,000 pounds, you'd probably want to wear sleeves, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, for safety.
Actually, it'd probably even be better to wear wraps under your sleeves.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you are trying to move that much weight, which I highly suggest you don't. Unless you're like, serious, big. Like 300-pound plus, like, and you can actually control that weight.
I would advise Taylor Atwood, Russell Orhe,
super strong people. It's just too much weight. Like, you really don't need that much weight. It depends also what you're trying to do. Like, for when I was training for my heavier squat, I was doing heavy.
What was your heavy squat?
340, I think.
Wow, 340.
It's either 340 or 335.
It's 335.
335?
Yeah.
I didn't hit depth on 340.
I don't know if you ever did 340.
No, I did. I've tried 340, but I think I was too high. That was the problem. So 335. And when I was training for that, I was doing heavy hack squats. So that way, you know, if you get stuck at the bottom.
What weight were these hack squats?
I think about 340, just to feel comfortable under the weight.
So 3 plates aside?
Yeah, with the 15 additionally.
How many reps for that?
3 or 4. Because the hack squat helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's guided path. And then you know, if you do have to bomb out of it, you're just like.
Yeah, I've heard of a guy I know who actually puts the safety bar higher than it should be. So at the bottom of each rep, they can actually sit with their knees at parallel and then press out of the negative.
Oh, like did they start at the bottom?
They could, yeah. So they obviously start down, they pull it down to the bottom, and then they bring it back up.
That's sort of what Chris Bumstead does.
Yeah, but it's not Chris Bumstead. It's a cooler guy than Chris Bumstead.
Oh, for sure.
He's got glasses and likes hats and stuff. I do that. Yeah.
I mean, it's just about getting comfortable under the weight, you know, and having confidence under the weight.
And you said there was 3 of these lifts.
Yeah, so I think the deadlift is the last thing that I didn't talk about yet.
Oh, we were talking about Christian Bumstead.
Chris Bumstead, you know, it just kind of came up. And
2-time Mr. Olympia, almost 3.
Back to back to back. But yeah, the deadlift, it's the most straightforward, but the highest risk of injury.
If you do it wrong.
If you do it wrong. If you do it, you know, with your ego and you don't control the weight, you're really susceptible to injury. And so deadlift is literally just pick up a barbell with however much weight on the barbell. And that's the deadlift.
And that's what you did 3 times body weight.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Pulled 390 at 130, and then I bulked up to 140 and pulled 405.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, it's not light, but I could probably I should be able to do more.
You'd think, yeah.
Hopefully.
You'd think you'd be able to do more.
Yeah. I'd try my best, you know.
Sometimes you just need to do better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about training, you know?
All right.
You're just competing against yourself.
Hypothetically. You're getting on gear.
Getting on gear. What does that mean?
Steroids.
Pinning.
The big old needles.
Okay.
What are you going with?
If I had to go on gear, like gun to my head.
Yeah, a gun to your head. Yeah, someone was forcing you to get on gear.
I would rather die.
Because you took so much gear.
No, I mean, everybody has their own opinion. And if you feel like you have the need to go on gear or some type of PED, then
GH.
Hop on it. Go for it. I mean, if you feel like it's good for your body, then you've talked to doctors, you've looked at other outlets for possibly, you know, avoiding having to go on gear.
So how much TRT are you going to get when you turn 40?
I don't know. I don't think the positive for me is just not worth it yet. But
interesting. But so once you are past your prime and you know you'll have hit your heaviest lift in your life, that's when you'll decide to get on gear that you could have been on a little bit earlier.
Probably not. I mean, I don't really think.
You don't think you'll have any regrets?
I've missed the window of being able to hit huge singles for body weight.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, that's true. But
most powerlifters that are at the top are actually in their late 20s to early 30s.
Yeah, but I'm not that committed to the sport, so I don't think I'm ever gonna need to get on gear. But I'm just like, for casual, you know, staying fit, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. But I mean, I'm not saying don't get on gear, but I'm not saying do get on gear.
It's safe.
Some of them have higher risk than others. But if you're looking for the best, healthiest way to go about weightlifting, stay natural. Have some yerba mates. Have some coffee. Like, pre-workouts, like, they're pretty intense, some of them.
I don't feel pre-workout anymore. I am the pre-workout. You always see those videos where it's like, what's your pre-workout? Pain.
Damn.
And you're like,
I was, what are your, so you sound like you're familiar with the main three?
I've heard of them, yeah, before. I think I've tried that deadlift once or twice. I think.
So at your current body, what's your body weight?
About 160.
And what are your numbers for your deadlift, squat, and bench? And
what was
your body weight at the time of doing all three of these, if you can recall?
Oh, if I can recall, because it's been so long since like I've done any of these big three lifts. My total is, I believe, 1,010 pounds now, and that is a 365, 240, and 410 lift. Each of those roughly being anywhere from body weight of 160 to 172. So about a 12-pound range.
But can we break that down real quick? So you kind of rush through your numbers. I want to make sure our viewers understand.
Yeah, so my deadlift at 410 was at a body weight of roughly 170 to about 170, 172 pounds.
Wow, that's big.
The
deadlift. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna starve myself now.
No. The deadlift is big.
Yeah, it's bigger than yours, so it's like.
Yeah, you got me beat by 5 pounds with.
Yeah.
Was that 40 pounds?
It's.
I'm not counting.
Sounds like you are. My squat's 365, wrapped, at 165, and then my 240 bench I actually just did like 3 days ago.
Flew up.
Yeah, I think I could do a 250
for sure.
If it was a good day.
Right.
It'd be a grinder. That 250 would go up. Just getting past that sticking point.
Yeah, sticking points get everybody.
Yeah. Not me though. Unless
not you.
They do.
No. But like within our 15-month hiatus, we were training the entire time.
Yeah, it was like one of those Saitama training arcs.
Yeah, where I need to get stronger.
Yeah,
that was essentially that during the pandemic.
I couldn't protect the ones I loved, and I needed to get stronger for some kind of tournament arc of some. I don't know.
Some tournament is coming up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
we were busy.
If you had to choose your favorite of the three,
deadlift,
and your second favorite,
squat,
and your least favorite
bench.
would be the bench.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Bench is the hardest to build. It's the most like gets in your head because you'll be training hard. I do 3 chest days a week, and I'll be stuck at a bench PR for months where I everything else is getting stronger. Cables are going up more incline bench, more dumbbell bench, more overhead press, but the bench is staying the same. Where on the deadlift, one, it's just such a accomplished feeling when you pick the weight up off the ground and you put it back down.
Yeah.
It's like there's a really big dopamine. Where it's like you hit a bench, it's like there's not as much of a dopamine because it's like it went on my chest and went down.
Right.
Like not everyone sees you in a corner like shaking with like 400 plus pounds in your hand.
Hanging off your body.
Yeah. And the squat's somewhat similar. It's like it's so much more range of motion where when you get it down and you start that weighing up, it's a lot of people that get stuck about halfway. And it's like if I get it to halfway,
you just
you push it through. Yeah. You get your hips through it.
Yeah.
Find a way. Right. Especially if the belt will
helps
take
so
the
much.
brunt of the force of your back.
I think it was Bob the
builder?
Not Bob the Builder, but he is built. I forget his name. I think it's SSJ Bob, so Super Saiyan James Bob.
All right.
He just swapped from a 13 mil belt to a 10 mil belt because he was saying that the 13 mil belt was too restrictive for him to get a good brace. And so the 10 mil belt should be enough.
Thickness?
Yeah.
All right.
So like
I use Larry Wheels PR.
Larry just tore his quad.
Whack.
So
he didn't have a belt on his leg.
Prayers to Larry for a speedy recovery.
You know who recovered so fast?
You got Lic the podcast backing you up, bud.
Yeah. Joesthetic. Jolinda. He recovered so fast.
From his bicep tear?
Yeah. And then he decided to get the gyno surgery at the same time.
Might as well.
Yeah. But like that was like a month or two ago and he's already back at it. And it's stronger now.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like the beauty of modern medicine. It's like the tendon tears, like they can get a stronger connection to your elbow with it's called like a button or something, but it's like pretty sick.
Yeah, but now he's like, even
in baseball
more like, alien gains.
Baseball.
You ever watched that movie with the baseball arm? It's like Rookie of the Year. He breaks his arm, and when it heals, all of a sudden his like pitching is just like 100 miles per hour.
That's sus.
It's like a spring because of like how the bone heals.
Is it real?
No, it's a movie.
Well, I mean, they sometimes bake them off real events.
Yeah, so this middle school kid ended up going to the big leagues.
You didn't mention that. You said this guy.
How have you not seen Rookie of the Year? It's such a great movie. I watched it again later on, and I was like, this does not hold up to the test of time.
So when you were a kid?
Yeah, but it's still good. It's still a great movie.
But you know what movie did hold up to the test of time?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
It does, actually, though.
And I think it was really good.
It was really good. I think you should watch 2049. Yeah.
Does it like continue the story pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah. So Harrison Ford is like then now old.
Right.
And yeah, good continuation of the story. And music, you know how I feel about Zimmer.
Right. They should too. Listen to episode 12.
Yeah, episode 12. Yeah. But yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up here. I think, we'll have maybe more to say when you watch 2049.
Yeah, we'll continue it. And the one I'm really excited for in the sci-fi category is Dune.
Dune. I've been watching trailers all week about it.
Spice.
Melange. I'm started the audiobook again.
Do you want to pick out the book and like read it?
I have the book. I can give it to you.
Oh, word.
See what friends do here? We communicate. And yeah, I got the audiobook. So the audiobook, it's like 22 hours long, but each character has their own voice.
Oh, no kidding.
So it's like I'm listening to
Zendaya in it?
No, it's not by the cast.
Okay, it's cool. It's cool.
Zendaya's in the movie though.
Yeah, Zendaya, what's up? If you want to, additionally, we're looking for guests.
We are looking for guests.
So if you see us in passing and you're trying to get on Lic the podcast, we'd love to have you on.
It'd be great to have you on. Zendaya. Miss Zendaya.
Mrs. Zendaya. And
that's not Mrs.
I think she's dating Tom Holland.
Yes.
I was going to say Peter Parker, but same.
Jinx.
If both of you guys would like to come on, I'm sure we have plenty of space.
We definitely would need to get two more mics.
We need a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah, give us a heads up. But we will buy 2 more mics if we knew you guys are coming on.
Give us like at least 4 days.
Oh, you know what'd be so bad is if I got the mics and then they like last minute were like, oh, sorry, Dune like premiere. And you're like, oh,
I guess we'd have to get Lil Mariko on then.
Yeah, we are trying to get Lil Mariko on.
If
you see this, Lil Mariko,
why are you not responding to the emails?
He sent you the PR.
I'm reaching out.
We're not desperate.
I'm reaching out. Please.
Yeah. But and yeah, listen to Dune before it comes out. It comes out in like next month.
Yeah,
October or something like that. All right, well, probably wrap it up here.
That was a fun one.
For the 14th podcast of the Lic podcast. Pretty soon here we're gonna be airing a new logo.
Yeah.
And
keep a heads up for that.
Yeah. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.
Have a great week, day, month, year.
We'll be released on Monday. So see ya.
Bye. Have a good one.